Welcome to the MMA Outsiders podcast with Andrew Pearson and AJ Miller.
So everyone, welcome to the special edition of the MMA Outsiders, featuring a repeated guest on the show now, Whitney Miller.
Hey, I know, second time. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're
Whitney,
for sure.
Definitely. So you were at UFC 217, and we also wanted to talk about the most recent Glory event, which was you were excited to go there the last time we talked. It was in Europe, right?
Yeah, it was in Europe. I was in China because we had our Glory in China, which was a huge success. I honestly really couldn't believe some of the numbers that were coming out of there. I think we had like 8 million simultaneous streams or something like that just in China.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, that was wild. I guess the Chinese love us there. And then we went to Lyons, France, which was amazing. France on its own is a good place for kickboxing. You know, they have so many French fighters, and that's what we had on the card there. And they really put on a show for all of their fans there.
That's awesome. Are there any fights in particular that hardcore fight fans should look up and watch the replay?
Yes, you should definitely watch the Bonazarov fight. It was I believe it was the semifinals of the tournament, and his knockout is savage. It was on the front page of ESPN the next morning. If you didn't see it, it's just savage. And he beat the tournament favorite Fabio Pinca, and kind of, no one really saw that coming. Came out of nowhere. So definitely go check that out. And then also we had the ladies taking to the ring too. Anissa Meskin won that fight by TKO. Unfortunately, her opponent had a foot injury, but she had showed so much heart that she was constantly, she would have her 8 count, and then she would stand up right at the very end, but definitely had something broken in her foot. And that was pretty amazing to watch, just to, see that she was not giving up. And so Anissa is going to take on Tiffany Van Soest at Madison Square Garden on December 1st. And that's going to be savage.
Tiffany Time Bomb. Yeah, she's
Tiffany
awesome.
Time Bomb.
I've posted the video of her like kicking down a tree before.
Yeah.
She's awesome. That's going to be a great fight then.
It's going to be such a good fight. And I talked to Tiffany when she was here in Austin not too long ago about it. This is before she knew exactly who she was fighting. But she said either way, it's going to be a killer match. Like she knows that she's going into this, and it's going to be extremely challenging for both of them. But I mean, we'll see who wins. Who she's fighting, Anissa is completely undefeated. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she hasn't lost in, I think it was 4 years. I asked her in fighter interviews if she even remembers what it feels like to lose, and she doesn't. She's like, no, I don't.
That's always a crazy, like, it's always crazy when you got a fighter who's just been undefeated and so used to winning for that long, because winning's like a habit, right? Like
right.
And so that's going to be Glory 48. That's going to be in Madison Square Garden on December 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just in Madison Square Garden for UFC 217.
I wasn't that a trip?
Yeah. I mean, kind of describe the overall feeling of that event, and what stood out the most to you.
Well, I mean, obviously Madison Square Garden is so iconic, and you can feel that when you go there. Just the way that it's set up, the energy, the history there, it just has like a certain buzz about it, just on its own. And then you add one of the best, UFC cards of the year, and it really just took it to a new level. And people were freaking out. It was the first title fight, and then the title switched over to the new champion, and everyone got really excited. And then it happened two more times after that. So you can imagine people are screaming and yelling, and beers being thrown everywhere, and it's just complete mayhem. But out of like sheer joy.
One of those times that like the chaos of MMA brought us just everything we ever wanted and more.
Right. It was so cool to be there. And we were thinking maybe we weren't going to go, and just because I was traveling so much, but I'm so happy that we were there to just be able to witness this, monumental night in Madison Square Garden. And, one of my favorite fights, when I was really excited about, I love Wonderboy Thompson. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just so unorthodox and seems like a really cool guy on top of that. But then also TJ and Cody. I mean, how can you not be involved in that?
I mean, I don't know what it was like in the arena. I was at home screaming at my TV. I mean,
yeah, so imagine that with thousands and thousands of people all doing that at the very same time and completely in shock.
Of course, because that I mean, that the thing about those fights is like all three of the title fights could have gone so differently. I mean, Rose Namajunas, you talk about women fighters, female fighters who are just really tough. For her to knock out Joanna Jacek like that was insane.
That was insane. I mean, you see Johanna, and she's just I was a Rose fan for sure, but I really thought that Johanna was going to just kind of walk through her.
Yeah.
Just kind of how, when you look at her other fights and how dominant she's been in her other fights and how strong she is and how confident she was going into this fight, it was hard to say, oh yeah, I want Rose to win, but let's be honest, it's going to be a challenging match. Although they're both extremely tough fighters, but I did not expect Rose to put on such a perfect performance. And good for her, good on her. And the way that she won too, how she, she thanked Johanna, and then it was just so her. Very genuine, very authentic, very real. And I mean, I think that's always good for MMA in general, particularly women's MMA too.
Yeah, I mean, Rose is just, how can you not like her? She got home and posted a picture on Instagram, like, holding her ripe tomatoes, and she was, like, just happy about that as she was about the belt. And it was just, like, it's just such a genuine person. And then too, I thought her message just really kind of set the tone for the rest of the night, when she was just like, love is a more sustainable energy to build from than hate. She's like, let's all hug each other. Someone on Twitter was like, her nickname is Thug Rose. Someone was like, we should call her Hug Rose now. It's just like everyone hug each other. And I just thought like you had a lot of trash talkers on this card, and I love Joanna, but she was definitely the one talking more trash, right? Like Rose was out here reciting the Lord's Prayer, and it was just, I don't know, it kind of restored my faith in like respectful martial artists, and I mean, because we had GSP at the top of the card. And then B, just in the ability of the UFC to just deliver a really special night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of just, I don't know, with everything that's going on in the world too, you see somebody like Rose win and handle it the way that she did. And then also Johanna, how she lost, but she handled it very well. She wasn't talking shit. She wasn't making excuses. She handled it very, very well. And it kind of just gives you a feel-good feeling for humanity in general.
Yeah, it did. AJ and I actually talked about that yesterday as well. There's just so much stuff going on in the world. Here in Houston, we had Hurricane Harvey. Puerto Rico had the big natural disaster. And there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. And it was just a moment where you could just set all that aside and just feel really good about something.
Right, right.
I don't know about for you, but for me, like, the glow was with me, like, through the next day, too. It's just like, oh, man, that was such a special night.
Absolutely. Even yesterday, I went to do some Muay Thai at, Dwayne Bang Muay Thai we have here at On It in Austin. And it was really cool just to see the class. They went through the winning combination that TJ threw, and how excited everyone was how excited everyone was to train that and learn it. They were watching the video over again. They're laughing, they're clapping. It was just like, it's just so cool. And it makes you even more happy for TJ and really, honestly, like, fired me up, to get back on the mats and start training a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, everyone has their fighters that they like. Nothing against Cody Garbrandt, but I've always loved TJ Dillashaw ever since like when he first burst on the scene against Henan Brow. I was like, oh man, this is my guy. This guy's awesome. And I didn't think he was gonna get it done. I'll be honest. Like especially after that first round, Cody he looks so much quicker in the pocket with his hands, and then for him to win the way he did, it was just I don't know, man. It was just a special moment. And
well, it was really interesting too. Obviously, in the first round when he got that knockdown, when Cody got that knockdown on TJ, Cody released that video of them training, and it was same punch. And so you see that happening, and you're like, oh no,
you get deja vu.
Right, exactly. But then Cody or it was TJ mindset. He got his mindset right going into the second, and didn't let that phase him at all.
It's hard for me to see a way out of like a trilogy between those two because Cody's so young. He's obviously very talented. He was clearly in that fight. I mean, it was a razor's edge going either way. So I mean, nothing negative Cody's way. I really think that he's going to be back and he's going to be stronger than ever. I just think for someone, for it to go away we didn't expect. For me, all three fights went ways I didn't expect, and I think that was part of what made it so special. It was just the shock value of having 3 titles change hands, which has never happened before in the history of the UFC.
Right. Definitely kept you on your toes. And if you bet the other way, you're broke now.
That's why I never bet on MMA, especially against someone I want to win.
Yeah.
Now, Whitney, I was curious. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah. Oh, I was just talking about TJ and Cody. I mean, we're friends with both of them, so that was like another added kind of pressure to the situation. It's like, oh no, if Cody loses, we'll be happy for TJ, but then if TJ loses, then we'll be happy for Cody. So it was just like a really interesting kind of like up and down emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see. I was actually curious about because aren't they both sponsored by you guys?
Yeah, so Dillashaw was sponsored. He still takes on it, but Cody is on the pro team, yeah.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, it was very interesting for both of us to watch it as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go to the fights. We get to watch it on same emotions from the couch. But I was curious, what were your thoughts about the GSP fight pre-fight and then obviously post-fight? A lot of people were kind of negative about it. They were just thinking, GSP's coming back, trying to get an easy fight with Bisping. It's not really what people were thinking the main event was going to be. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I was excited for it, definitely, just because, I mean, that's history in the making, right? It's happening right in front of your face. And I've never seen GSP fight, one-on, like, in the arena live. And so being able to watch him fight at Madison Square Garden, I feel like was just it raised the bar even more and made it even more exciting for people that were there. But I mean, if I were betting, I bet on GSP, but it's still like, you don't know. You can't really say for a fact because he has been out for so long, how he's going to respond. And, in Bisping's training, they're saying that he's stronger, faster than he's ever been. So it kind of raises the bar, but that's a great thing about MMA is you don't really know what's going to happen. You can't fully predict it, as we saw with 3 new champions of that entire night. So, I mean, yeah, everyone kind of expected GSP to win, but everyone's going to say something like that after the fight, instead of just realizing, hey, Bisping could have taken it. We don't really know.
Yeah, he could have. I mean, you look at that second round too. GSP was starting to. You could see him the pace start to wear on him a little bit, and when he took Bisping down, it was like he was having a rough time with those elbows from the bottom, and that was I think too, like, it was such an uncharacteristic GSP performance from what we've seen from him in like the past decade. Like even when he was fighting, he never. I mean, when was the last time he knocked someone down? Like when was the last time he threw that right hand? With intent. It's always been GSP ever since that Matt Serra fight. It's been like a safety first fighter. Still entertaining to watch because he's so athletic. But it was just like from the moment he threw that right hand, you're like, oh, we're in for something just complete.
Well, did you guys watch the Carlos Condit fight with him when he came back? He took some time off and he came back and he was a little rusty. I think a lot of people were reminiscent on that because he got knocked down in that fight with a head kick. but it was the same kind of, jab, double leg kind of style that he did have. So it was very, very surprising to all of us, I think, whenever he kind of went in for the kill, was throwing, I think didn't he land a spinning wheel kick as well? Just doing the stuff we don't remember him doing the last times he fought.
Yeah, kind of being more unorthodox, which helped him,
Exactly.
because he's not coming in as the same fighter that we saw, back then. He's coming in as kind of maybe like a 2.0 version.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just a special night of fights. What was it like afterwards in New York City? I mean, I've never been to Madison Square Garden and just to that kind of event. I was there like a bull ride, like a rodeo years ago.
Like PBR or something.
yeah, that was exactly what it was. But what was it like after a UFC fight, a UFC event? I mean, was everyone partying in the streets, or what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, you walk out of Madison Square Garden, people are singing, and people are just having a good old time. Obviously, some lost quite a bit of money and some won quite a bit of money, but it almost kind of reminded me of when you go watch Conor McGregor fight and you have all of the Irish fans that are constantly singing and high-fiving and continuing to drink beer and just live it up. That's kind of exactly how the atmosphere was when you were walking out of Madison Square Garden and random strangers coming up and high-fiving you, and you hear people chanting GSP's name. It's just such a cool atmosphere.
Absolutely. Oh man. So highly recommended.
Oh yeah, highly recommend. If you can go to a fight at Madison Square Garden, absolutely make it. Put it on your bucket list. 100%. And even we had Glory at Madison Square Garden back this summer. We have another one in December, and there's just something about it. There's just something about how the history there and the environment that you can feel when you go in there. So it doesn't even have to be as big as a UFC to really understand why MSG is such a powerful place.
Yeah, just stepping in a place that has that much history, that many great fights have taken place. That's one thing I think New York City just has in general. You're there and you're looking around and you'll be like, man, because you've seen this these buildings on TV and the Brooklyn Bridge and all these iconic landmarks. And I think Madison Square Garden too. You step inside, you see posters from past events, and you're like, oh man, I've heard about this. You're like, this is a famous place.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, New York has just that buzz about it. It's one of my favorite cities ever. I'm trying to actually get a fight if I can. In New York, there's a charity event, and I'm trying to get a fight with. I don't know if you saw it on social media or not, but there was this girl who did the UFC Snapchat. She took over the UFC Snapchat for this event 217, and she posted a kickboxing video, and she said, "Who should I fight? Or should I get into the ring? If so, who should I fight?" And she has 3.3 million followers, so people were commenting a bunch, and quite a few people commented, hit up Miss Jiu-Jitsu, she'll fight you. And so I said, I'm your Huckleberry, let's do this. And she said yes, and then Donald Cerrone and Luke Rockhold both went on there and was, let's go, Miss Jiu-Jitsu, let's do this. And so
my, who is this?
This is her name's Sandra Prikker, Prikker, something like that. And I want this fight. I think she thinks maybe I'm more experienced than I actually am. I have one fight under my belt, but that's it. And it wasn't even, it's not sanctioned or anything. So it was it's just one fight. And she has 0 fights. And she's my size and the whole thing. So I really want to get this fight.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Let's make this happen. I'm just better too when I'm working towards a goal. I love going to the gym. I love training for that, the challenge, the entire thing. And so obviously she semi wants it. She did ask Cody, no love. I guess Cody asked her about me or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. She already has one fight. She's been training for a while, yada, yada, yada. And then she asked Cody to train her, and Cody was like, I can't train you against Whitney. Like, we're friends with her. But, I mean, I can help you out.
All right, Sandra, woman up. Take this fight. We want to see it.
Yeah. People want to see it. It'd be so fun. It'd be so good.
Yeah, it'd be great. What would the charity be for?
So it's like put on by Victoria's Secrets. I believe it's some sort of women's empowerment. I'm still trying to get all of the info about it, but it's been like people have been talking to me about it for a while, and I don't see why this wouldn't be the perfect stage for me and Sandra to, duke it out a little bit.
Absolutely. And
plus, I'll get that kickboxing. I have my boxing. I'd like to check off that kickboxing, and then I'll eventually check off the MMA, and then there we go.
Yeah, you were talking about that last time you were on the show. You said you wanted to get all three on your bucket list.
Yeah, and now here's the chance.
There you go. I mean, I don't want to scare her off, but you probably kick her ass. That's probably what she's.
I mean, I would hope so. I watched her video, and I was like, man, she looks pretty good. Like, I think it would be a more competitive match than she probably thinks. So I could be wrong. Too.
You're trying to get this fight. What you need to do is call her out in like the meanest way possible.
All right, I'm pitching my tactic. Let's go, bitch.
Let's go. Oh man, this is great. Well, I don't know. Who knows? If Madison Square Garden taught us anything, or UFC 217 taught us anything, is that respect can also get you places.
Sure.
So maybe you should stick with the GSP route and 3 times, and decide not to give away. I love that. After that, this is such a Canadian, such a GSP moment. He apologized for himself, and then he apologized for and sorry for the. Fantastic.
It's so funny too to see somebody like that who's just a straight killer. Talk about a paradox.
I mean, just the same thing with Rose Namajunas. She's adorable, but she's like terrifying at the same time.
Terrifying.
And yes. Same thing with GSP. It's like you don't have to be an asshole to kick someone's ass.
Right.
But so what do you think is next for GSP? Because the name that didn't get mentioned on the broadcast was Conor McGregor, and I hate to say it, but that's the fight that would be like the biggest fight in UFC history, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, it can't be for the middleweight title. Like, and part of me was like, man, I love Robert Whittaker. I'd love to see Robert Whittaker get that big fight. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But GSP seemed like maybe he wasn't sold on staying at middleweight. And, I mean, it would be a huge fight, man. Like, everyone would be into that.
Oh, my God. Everyone would want to watch that. Who doesn't want to watch that? I mean, Robert Whittaker would be a super fun fight to watch. You'd be interested in it. But you put GSP against Conor McGregor, and you don't just have fight fans watching that. You have just people that want to see McGregor against GSP that don't know much about fighting. Like, that's the money match, right?
Absolutely. And you get the contrast between a guy who apologized 3 times and like Conor McGregor when he was at Madison Square Garden apologized to absolutely fucking nobody.
Yes, exactly.
So it's the perfect yin and yang of combat sports.
Yeah, you have like little angel versus little devil. Let's see what happens. I'm not mad at that fight. I would watch it.
Yeah, so hey, we have 2 potentially huge fights coming up. Sandra Prikker versus Whitney Miller,
yes.
And Conor McGregor versus GSP.
There we go. Boom. Let's get excited. Let's make both of these fights happen.
Absolutely. And so anything else that kind of stood out to you from UFC 217, like special moments or like memories that you're going to carry with you?
I think it's just like kind of what we already talked about. It's just seeing these fighters live up to their fullest potential and going in, a lot of them, the underdog coming in with the belt and with the title. And I'm interested to see what TJ does now. Is he going to, fight Demetrius? Is that actually going to happen? Because that would be a sick fight. But you also look at TJ, who is shredded in that fight against Cody. It's kind of hard to see him being able to cut any more weight, but apparently he said he doesn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's really hard to see someone with like 0% body fat dropping 10 pounds. But he insists that he did it in college. He insists he can still do it. I don't know, man. That would be a super fight. That would be awesome. I would love to see it.
Yeah, how do you think that would go down?
Man, AJ and I were talking about this. It's really hard to see. It's like really hard to tell, because I think Demetrius Johnson would be faster, right? I mean,
right.
You look at the Garbrandt fight. Garbrandt had something of a speed advantage, but it didn't matter. And then I don't think Mighty Mouse would be able to do the thing he always does, where he takes the guy down and like goes to the side control position and then goes for that Kimura and then goes for the armbar. I don't see him being able to like get TJ on the ground consistently, but I don't know. That's a tough one. Like I thought that in the past, I've always thought TJ would win by volume. He throws more punches. He'd get in Mighty Mouse's face. But then I watched the speed differential between him and Garbrandt, and Mighty Mouse is more like he pays more attention to defense than Garbrandt does. Different styles, and it does make me wonder whether TJ would be able to put his hands on him consistently. I don't know. It's good. It's one of those things. We'd have to see it.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be difficult for Demetrius to take TJ down for sure. I think that would be near impossible, just knowing the wrestling background that TJ has and him being the bigger fighter. But speed, Demetrius has that over TJ, no doubt.
Yeah. Again, that might not matter either. Like we saw that head kick that he set up. Is that the one you're practicing in the gym, or are you practicing the hook?
The hook.
Man. So that's like an actual combination that Ludwig teaches?
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that they actually teach in the gym, but that's what they were teaching in class yesterday. And so I would like to I need to get a little more insight on that to see if that was something they actually set up and they were looking for, or if they're just practicing because TJ threw it. But we're getting Dwayne. He's coming in for a seminar in Austin in January. And so that should be real interesting, especially with TJ having the belt.
Yeah, that's got to be a great thing for him. And, I mean, he's obviously really good striking coach. AJ pointed out yesterday when we were talking about this that the head kick that TJ hit in the second round, in the first round he was missing those, and apparently I missed this, but AJ caught it. He said that in between rounds, Dwayne Bang Ludwig was telling him, "Hey, stop setting that up with your hands," because he can tell what's coming. So all he did was like flick a jab out there and then throw the head kick, and that's when he caught him with it in the second round. So obviously really talented cornerman as well as like a technical coach.
Yeah, he's a master at his craft. He's a full-on master. Anytime you're around Dwayne, it's very rare that you talk about anything other than combos or kickboxing. And he'll just we've had him over for dinner a few times, and he'll be sitting at the dinner table thinking about different combos and kind of like shadow boxing. Like he's like that all the time.
That's hilarious. AJ sounds like AJ with music.
Oh, just consistently thinking about it.
Yeah. But that's how you get better. So tell me what it's like having him over for dinner, because when he's like on the Joe Rogan Experience, or like you hear him talk, he's going a million miles an hour. Is that just how he operates?
Oh yeah, that's how he is 100% of the time. That's not him that's not him being anxious or nervous or anything like that. That's just how he is all the time. And he'll stop himself. You'll have a conversation with him and he's speaking 100 miles a minute, and he'll be like, okay, whoa, I need to slow down. And then he'll like resume his thoughts. But he's incredibly sweet. Love hanging out with him. He has great energy. He just cracks me up because it's all kickboxing, and he does speak like he took 75 Adderalls. But he's such a good dude.
Is he on Alpha Brain just 24/7?
I know, right? Just like an IV drip of Alpha Brain constantly.
Yeah, And I mean, is TJ like that, or is TJ more just like absorbing all that knowledge?
He is more absorbing all that knowledge. But still, I mean, when he's with Dwayne and Dwayne brings up anything kickboxing, they'll just go back and forth. They kind of like, play spar, come around the corner, play spar at each other here and there. And it's just like, you can just see that they really do have a special bond between a coach and a fighter, which makes sense to me. That's why TJ would, follow Dwayne to Colorado. Yeah,
that makes so much sense. It's like, that's funny. That's the kind of thing like my girlfriend would make fun of me over, like if I'm play sparring with someone, like just in public.
That's them all the time.
That's adorable in its own way. But that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That was another they did like the Ludwig salute. So Whitney Miller, where can the people find you?
So everyone can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Miss2Jits, MISS, the number 2, JITS. And then also we have our fight December 1st in New York for Glory Kickboxing. So you can check me out there. We're going to have some killer fights.
Yeah, and everyone go comment on Sandra Prikker's Instagram.
Yeah, come on. Let's make this make it happen.
Just send her at Whitney Miller just constantly. Just spam her.
Yeah, at Miss2Jits. Right. Tell her.
Yeah, at Miss2Jits.
We're the same size, probably same experience a little bit. It'll be a challenge. It'll be fun. Why not? Let me train for a fight. I'm ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us. This is going to be a special podcast episode. So we're probably going to drop it tomorrow, like a special UFC 217 retrospective. So
awesome. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye.